let's talk about frozen yogurt. Welcome back to Sprung On Food. I'm your host, Kae Sprung. This season, we're talking about favorite foods, the history behind it, and the role it plays in the world today. Joining me today is cancer nurse and comedian, Sarah Ross. Sarah, welcome.
Hi, thank you so much. I appreciate you having me on. I'm passionate about this topic.
Oh, good. Well, then I'm glad that you are here to help me talk about it for sure. Not only are you a talented person, but this, I think, is a food that a lot of people are going to be like, yes, I agree. Sarah, I see you. Me too. What is your relationship with this food? Why is it your favorite? Tell me all the things.
Okay, I feel like to me, the introduction of frozen yogurt into my life was like high school when you first got your driver's license. Or when I first got my driver's license, it was like the boom of frozen yogurt. So for me, it's like the perfect little treat. And it was like the thing you would all go, it was like an excuse to like go use the car and go do something with your friends. And to this day, I'm like, it just doesn't fail. I feel like it's customizable. You can go a million different ways with it. It's a crowd pleaser. And I've like nailed it at this point. I feel like I have it down to an art. I know exactly what I like. And especially in the summer, I'm like, I grew up in Texas. It was always hot. You need something cool. And there's just something about the frozen yogurt that feels like you're allowed to do this all the time, you know? Like going out for ice cream all the time, that feels like less appropriate somehow.
And what is your go-to order? Do you switch it up or do you have like an Old Faithful?
Okay, so I feel like I balance between two things. One is going more like fruit-based, and I'm not afraid to go Pinkberry original tart. I feel like that's unpopular. I feel like a lot of people don't do that. And sometimes I go cookies and cream, sometimes Nutella. I allow myself to go where I'm feeling that day, but the key is to put strawberries at the bottom before you put the frozen yogurt. That way they freeze. And they become little popsicles. And then by the time you're done with the frozen yogurt, you have this like bonus treat. And like that's key. That's important no matter what.
Oh, so this is very intentional. How did you figure this out? Did it start as like a happy accident or did you always know to do the straw? Because you have to, correct me if I'm wrong, I haven't been to every single frozen yogurt place out there. The toppings part, you don't do that,
it
right?
Depends.
Like the person behind the, oh, really?
Depends where you are. Like Pinkberry, you don't.
Okay.
And I feel like Pinkberry is like the classic. That's like the OG. That's like what people know and remember. But depending on where you go, sometimes you can like do the toppings yourself. I don't know. We used to love as kids to freeze strawberries, like to slice them into quarters and freeze them and freeze grapes. And like that was just, I don't know why, but those two fruits frozen were just like something we would always do in the summertime. So I feel like maybe that's where it came from, where I was like, I don't know what made me do it one day, but I've been doing that since literally high school. Like I'm true to it.
Yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So if you'll go to a place that's not self-serve, you have to let them know, hey, strawberries first.
Yeah.
Then
and like
let's go crazy.
These type of places, like wherever you can customize something, they've heard it all. Like this is not the craziest thing they've heard. There are certain toppings that I see that I'm like, surely nobody's choosing that.
Okay,
like
such as?
Like my requests are very simple, very basic. I feel like I'm going standard toppings. But like, I don't know. Sometimes I see something like yogurt pretzels and I'm like, who's choosing that? Is anybody choosing that? What's going on?
Okay.
Raisins? There's not one person has chosen raisins. Be real with me.
They have raisins there?
Sometimes.
Interesting. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I wouldn't peg that as being one. Yogurt pretzel, I could see as being an option. The raisins, though, I will say does surprise me. But perhaps like, I don't know, perhaps they're thinking of it more in like a traditional yogurt bar where maybe you have some like granola and things like that.
Yeah.
But I view like my lens for frozen yogurt is not the same as like non-frozen, like regular yogurt.
Same, 100%.
So,
it's an entirely different palette. It's an entirely different palette. You get to approach this with so much more freedom and you get to approach it with so much more chocolate, frankly. you get to really take that spin. I feel like that what has to be most annoying for them working there is just got to be the people who need a million samples.
Oh yeah, but that has to be, I mean, it is part of the
I
job
mean,
though, I
listen, yeah, they have to
suppose.
do it.
So
I mean, it's
yeah,
fine. Everybody who works at a frozen yogurt store is like, to me, I'm like, they're almost always a teenager. It's almost always their first job, and they're
sure.
just doing honest work. And I salute them. I appreciate them because, that space is so safe for me, and I'm so happy it's there, you know?
Oh, that's beautiful. Yes. And if nothing else, it teaches them patience
100%.
and responsibility. So it's all part of the character building first job process. And even if it's not your first job, it's a life skill, a people skill. So it's all worth something. And at the end of the day, it makes the customer happier because they're getting this delicious treat. So
Exactly. And I
it's
may
kind of
turn
a
them on to
beautiful
something.
moment.
Maybe they've never heard of that before. Maybe they've never tried that before, putting them at the bottom. And now you're
There you
welcome.
go.
Try it next time.
Yes. See, now you're doing your service.
Exactly.
So this is a real full circle moment. I love it. Well, to better understand and appreciate our food, we've got to know where it came from. Frozen yogurt, the once trendier cousin of ice cream that you might have piled high with mini M&Ms and Captain Crunch in the early 2010s, thinking it was a health food, but behind the frozen treat cup is a surprising history that spans continents, cultures, and health fads. To understand frozen yogurt, we need to start, unsurprisingly, with regular yogurt. Yogurt's origins go way back. Archaeological evidence suggests that as early as 5000 BCE, Neolithic people in Mesopotamia and Central Asia were fermenting milk, likely by accident. You leave milk out in a warm climate, wild bacteria gets cozy, and whoopsie, yogurt. Now, yogurt as we know it, thick, tangy, and probiotic rich, became a dietary staple from the Middle East to India to Eastern Europe. And by the 20th century, yogurt had made its way into health food aisles of America, often adored by suspiciously cheerful hippies in Birkenstocks. But frozen yogurt? That's a modern invention, very much a product of the 20th century and American innovation, with a big scoop of capitalism and a cherry of health marketing on top. So what is frozen yogurt really? Well, at its core, it starts with the same base as regular yogurt, milk that's been cultured with live bacteria, typically Lactobacillus bulgaricus and Streptococcus thermophilus. Sounds delicious, right? Sarah, I know you have a science background. What do you think would happen to the consumer and marketing world if all foods and their components were used in their scientific names instead?
Oh, honey, we do not need to do that. No, 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 no. We do not need to talk about how this has been culturing Mia Thermopolis or whatever you just said. I'm like this. Yeah, we don't.
Of the Princess
Yeah, literally.
Diaries, yes.
That's what it sounded like. No, we don't.
Who knows? That could sell a lot of
If
frozen
they
yogurt
collab
then.
with Anne Hathaway, that's a hit, okay? And that's marketing. You give the people what they want, okay? You don't need to give them the full truth and the whole truth. And I 100% like, as you were reading that, I was like, she's just going to tell me how this is actually so bad for you to eat. But I'm like, I do remember when it first came out in the early 2010s. That's when I was in high school being like, oh, it's Hundka, like it's Froyo, like it's healthy. Like it felt, and it felt like it was something they were eating on like the OC or like Laguna Beach. Like it felt trendy. And when it finally came to your town, it was like a cool thing to go do. It was like a little adventure. So the marketing worked on me, I'll tell you that much, because I never cared about yogurt. Like I'm not, even now to this day, I couldn't really care less. Like it's exciting that the frozen yogurt has, well, actually, does it still contain probiotics, you said, if it's frozen?
As long as it starts with the base of yogurt, then yes.
Okay. So it's still working.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't need to call it by its kingdom phylum
We'll call it by
class, for God's sake.
Yeah, we'll call it by its stage name.
Exactly.
Yogurt.
And every name is like Popberry, Pinkberry. Like they're all like very sweet, cute names. Red Mango. Like I feel like they're all, it's light, it's airy, it's breezy. Like that really was the marketing push behind it. And it took over.
Well, we've got the yogurt base for our frozen yogurt, right? And then it's blended with sugar, stabilizers like warm gum or carrageenan, and sometimes cream or non-fat dry milk to improve texture and richness. That mixture is then pasteurized again, homogenized, and rapidly cooled. Once chilled, it goes into a soft serve style freezer where it's churned and frozen at the same time, incorporating air to give it that light, fluffy consistency we associate with frozen yogurt. And this frozen yogurt creation was born in the 1970s. It came from none other than the dairy scientists over at giant food conglomerate. Sarah, do you have any guesses of what this food company was?
Giant food conglomerate. Kraft.
Okay.
I don't know another giant food conglomerate. Wait, maybe
it's okay. Listen, they're pretty big. They're pretty big. But it was actually Dannon. Would that surprise you?
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Okay, that's more yogurt based. Okay.
Dannon was already a big player in the yogurt world. They'd helped popularize it in the US starting in the 1940s. But by the 1970s, they were trying to solve a problem: how to make a frozen version of yogurt that retained its health halo while appealing to the sweet tooth of American public. The answer came in the form of a product called Frogurt, launched in 1978. And yeah, that was the actual name. Sarah, I don't know how you feel about the name Frogurt, but if you were to be able to come up with an alternative name that's not Froyo, what would it be?
Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah, Frogurt is not it. That has such an ugly mouthfeel. Like fr and gur, like no, I don't like that.
Yeah.
Froyo is obviously the cutest possible version of it. I'm like, freezy is the only thing coming to mind, and I'm not loving it. Like, it's not.
Oh, okay.
That is.
It's a process.
Hey, I'm just getting started. Let me tinker on it. Let me think about it for a minute. But Dannon, now that I think about it, isn't that also who did Danimals? They are.
Oh, maybe. What's Danimals?
Is that the same company? Because if so, they are not afraid to innovate in the yogurt space. Because, like, you know,
well, educate me. What are Danimals?
Oh my gosh, they were like little yogurt shooters. They were like little drinks that you would give
like
kids.
Squeezies.
They weren't squeezies. They were liquid. Oh, listen, this company went all out. They had Go-Gurt, which was the squeezy tube on the go.
I know.
They had Danimals, which was like a little drink.
I think I know what you're talking about. And it had like a foil top.
Foil top. Absolutely. And it was Dylan and Cole Sprouse had like a sweepstakes through Danimals, and you could like win a cruise.
See the marketing, I'm telling you.
Exactly. Like they were tapped into marketing. For a yogurt company, they really had their finger on the pulse. And Trix yogurt, like they're not afraid to market with yogurt, because Trix is like, I guess it's yogurt, but they're like, let's make it one half dyed bright blue, one half dyed pink. Like, we're gonna get the kids involved. Like, they knew how to market, and they could upsell.
Listen, you got to sell that yogurt, baby. So they were like, what cool kids are on TV right now?
They're innovative.
What cereal are people losing their minds over? We got to collab. We got to do this and get it to the masses.
They innovate, and we all benefit. So I just want to say thank you and shout out.
Oh, right. Tip of the hat to Dannon then. Well, Frogurt didn't exactly set the dessert world on fire. Consumers weren't quite ready for the tangy tartness of yogurt in frozen form. It was cold, yes, and dairy-based, but it didn't taste like ice cream. And unfortunately for Frogurt, people really liked ice cream. But frozen yogurt got its second chance. Enter the 1980s, where the motto was basically just say no to drugs, fat, flavor, good hairstyle choices, you name it. Health consciousness was surging. Jane Fonda was bouncing around in spandex, cholesterol was the villain of the decade, and food companies were racing to make everything low-fat, from cookies to salad dressing. In this environment, frozen yogurt found its sweet spot. Ice cream, once beloved and unchallenged, was suddenly seen as a guilty pleasure. Frozen yogurt swept in as the healthier alternative. The major turning point came with the rise of chains like TCBY. Founded in Little Rock, Arkansas in 1981, TCBY started serving frozen yogurt that was less tangy, more creamy, and most importantly, sweet. They leaned hard into the low-fat dessert branding, marketing it as a guilt-free treat that you could pile high in a cup and walk away feeling virtuous. Sarah, have you ever heard of TCBY or gone to one?
Okay, I've definitely heard of it. We did not have one near me growing up, so TCBY was not my introduction to Froyo.
Sure. Do you have any idea of what TCBY stands for?
I know, I was just thinking that right as you were saying it, and I was like, I'm assuming the Y is yogurt.
Okay.
But TCBY, what does it stand for?
Okay, phoning a friend.
Yeah.
That friend is me. I will tell you. Okay, sure. So TCBY stands for the country's best yogurt. So you were
Okay.
right with the yogurt part.
Okay. I would have never
Ori-
got the country's best.
Well, originally, though, TCBY didn't stand for the country's best yogurt. When it launched in 1981, the name was This Can't Be Yogurt because nothing says confidence like questioning your own product. But in 1984, a competitor called I Can't Believe It's Yogurt filed a lawsuit over the suspiciously similar naming. Rather than duke it out in court, TCBY quietly kept the initials and rebranded as the country's best yogurt. It was a strategic pivot since honestly, neither of the names were that great. By the late 1980s, frozen yogurt was a certified craze. Walking into a TCBY as a little kid was like entering a paradise. Sweet sense of vanilla frozen yogurt, mingling with sugary perfume of crushed waffle cones, syrupy toppings, sprinkles, cookie crumbs, maraschino cherries, and gummy bears that always got rock hard in the cold frozen yogurt. Maybe it was after a soccer game, a school recital, or just a Friday night treat, one of those you did good today outings. It was a special time to be alive. And the sales were very alive too. According to the International Dairy Foods Association, frozen yogurt sales reached $25 million in 1986. And by 1990, they had skyrocketed to over, Sarah, do you want to take a guess?
50 million?
Okay, well, by Price is Right rules, you would win, but it's actually 330 million.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, which would be roughly 950 million today. At its peak, frozen yogurt accounted for about 10% of the frozen dessert market in the US. And while 10% may not sound like much, in dessert terms, it's pretty major.
Yeah.
But what comes up must come down. As the 90s wore on, the fat-free craze began to lose its luster. Low-carb diets started gaining traction. Ice cream brands, meanwhile, launched their own low-fat and light versions, closing the health gap. Plus, let's face it, some frozen yogurt just didn't taste that great. It could be icy, overly tangy, and lacking that satisfying richness people craved. By the late 90s, frozen yogurt sales were shrinking fast. Well, frozen yogurt needed a rebrand, and it got one. Enter Pinkberry. It launched in Los Angeles in 2005, the brainchild of Shelley Huang and Young Lee, who took a gamble on bringing tart Korean-style frozen yogurt to the land of low-carb everything. Their first shop had lines wrapped around the block, and suddenly, eating something that actually tasted like yogurt was cool again. Pinkberry didn't hide the tartness, it celebrated it. This was a return to frozen yogurt's roots, the tangy stuff that Dannon had tried decades earlier, except this time, people were ready. The probiotic movement had gone mainstream. People were drinking kombucha on purpose, live and active cultures were now desirable. Pinkberry was cool, literally and culturally. And its success led to a wave of copycats and competitors. Sarah, do you know any of these, or can you name any of these competitors?
Yeah, all of the ones I was listing earlier.
Let's go.
Let's go. The big one near me was Berry Pop.
Okay.
And then we had Red Mango, 16 handles. There's a 16 handles near me in New York now. Yeah, there's a million.
Yeah. Well, interestingly enough, while Pinkberry was sweeping the nation, another frozen yogurt company, you just mentioned, Red Mango, had opened 3 years prior to Pinkberry in South Korea, before opening up their first US location in LA in 2007. Then we have Yogurtland, credited as the first self-serve frozen yogurt shop, introducing the concept in 2006 in Fullerton, California. And not long after that, 16 Handles opened their first location in New York City in 2008. And with this second wave of popularity came a new term, dun-dun-dun-dun, Froyo. The term Froyo started gaining popularity in the early 2000s, but it wasn't widely mainstream until around 2005-2010. By 2010, Froyo was common in everyday language, signage, pop culture references, and social media hashtags. According to Google Trends, searches for Froyo peaked around 2012, right in the heart of the self-serve yogurt boom. Sarah, thoughts on...
That makes a lot of sense.
I know you said, yeah. Pinkberry, I know you had mentioned, is kind of like, that was your first foray, your go-to. In today's world. Do you have any other favorites? Or is Pinkberry still the go-to? What do you love about it? What do you love about the other competitors maybe?
Okay, I prefer a self-serve place if I can, but it just depends where you are. I feel like in New York, it's like I can't buy shampoo self-serve. You know what I mean? Like they're not like everything's locked up in CVS and stuff. So I don't know if
Yes.
it's like location based or if it's or what. I
Mm.
prefer if I can do it myself because I know how much of everything I want and I'm not afraid of a swirl. You know what I mean? I'm not afraid to swirl a
Mm.
few options together. I feel like for the original flavor, I mean, I love Pinkberry, but I don't know. I think red mango to me has like better toppings and they have
Okay.
more variation in their flavor. There just isn't one near me. So like I don't go
Mm.
here. But I did go
Right.
recently to a new place in the West Village, Cultured, which is a
Okay.
new
I don't know
frozen
about this
yogurt
one.
spot. And it was fabulous. And theirs was behind the counter as well. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like I like that it's airy. I like that it's big. Sometimes I get like a bigger cup, even if I know I'm not going to fill it up, just so I have room for the toppings and things like that. And I like that freedom.
Yes, I think that that is an excellent strategic move, honestly, because especially too, if you're maybe taking it on the go and you
Mm-hmm.
go in for that scoop, and if you have maybe on your off day when you don't just have the strawberries on the bottom, maybe you choose to put some toppings on the top or anybody else's, and
Yes,
then you go in for that first spoonful, and then maybe something falls just
exactly.
because it's like at the
You
top.
need that cushion. I mean, the other Cap'n
Yes.
Crunch is probably like my number two, like favorite topping. I love a cheesecake bite.
Ooh.
I'm like, those are so good. And sometimes I like mini M&Ms for crunch.
Well, suddenly there were self-serve froyo bars everywhere, and Americans were piling mini cookie dough balls and mochi on swirls of pomegranate or salted caramel flavored yogurt like crazy. In fact, 16 Handles at its peak froyo craze in 2012 was operating over 26 locations, which sounds pretty impressive until you realize that Pinkberry had. Sarah, you want to play our guessing game again? How many locations Pinkberry had?
300.
Ooh, I like your style. We went a little bit over
Okay.
on this one, but it's only because you have faith, but not by that much. They had more than 260 locations,
Oh,
so
okay.
pretty
I was actually
close.
really
I would
close. Yeah.
say you're very much in the ballpark, absolutely. And that was in 20 different countries by 2015. And subsequently, they got acquired by the same company as Cold Stone Creamery. And Yogurtland had 280 locations during its peak just before the pandemic. So, where is frozen yogurt now? Well, the 2010s Froyo bubble did eventually burst. The self-serve trend became oversaturated. Many chains closed locations and overall Froyo market share dipped, but it hasn't disappeared, it's just evolved. Today, frozen yogurt has carved out a steady, if not more modest, place in the dessert world. It's available in grocery stores as pint-sized treats. Brands like Yasso and Halo Top have yogurt-based frozen bars and low-cal options. And places like Pinkberry, 16 Handles, Red Mango, and Yogurtland are still slinging their self-serve froyo. It's also gone global. South Korea and the Middle East in particular have become froyo hotspots, with chains adapting flavors to local tastes. Think green tea, lychee, or saffron swirl. And let's not forget vegan and non-dairy froyo. Yes, there are almond, oat, and coconut milk-based frozen yogurts that offer the same tang without the lactose. Froyo, like many foods, reflects our cultural obsessions: health trends, DIY culture, customization, and instant gratification. It's not just about what's in the cup, it's about the fun of what flavor we pick to swirl in, toppings chosen, and the memories or current experience built around it. Sarah, what do you think about the backstory of frozen yogurt?
Oh my gosh. I just love her. So I'm happy to learn more about her history. And, like you said in that last segment, yeah, people have really abandoned her. That bubble did burst. And I'm still
Hmm.
standing. I'm still there. I am still a loyal customer. But I agree. To me, it just represents like this time when you're young, before you're like going out drinking, before like you have a job, before you have like before all these real world things came into play, and it was like it was just such a treat to go get frozen yogurt. It was just something to do after school. It was something to do with your friends. It was as much of an event as anything. And when you really had no say over what you could do or where you could go, you could make your own cup. And there's something kind of cool about that. And, you know, if I ever see, you know, middle schoolers mixing their own little cups, I'm like, yeah, this is what it's all about. It's like these, like, this is just classic. It's just classic to me.
Wholesome.
It's wholesome.
Yeah.
Yes. It just like, it reminds me of like being in the backseat of a girl's car. It reminds me of like playing music. It reminds me of the summertime. It reminds me of like just something that is so harmless and just like mood boost. You know what I mean?
And as somebody who is very immersed in the Froyo culture, do you have any ideas or insight? I don't know, maybe they called you and you have insider intel, I'm not sure. What kind of happened and why that bubble did burst? Do you think there were just too many?
Maybe,
like,
but I think
what do you think happened?
There also feels like there has been a shift. When I think of like 2015, 2016 and the true heyday of like Instagram influencing and virality, it was always bigger, bigger, more extreme, more extravagant, more rich.
Right.
And like, so I feel like that's when like Van Leeuwen was popping up, and that was ice cream that they were like not afraid to talk about how it was so rich, so heavy, so creamy, so full of eggs. It was cronuts. It was, you know, bagels that were rainbow. It was like everything was like a milkshake that had a donut on the straw. And it was like, things just got more opulent, more indulgent, and more flashy for the camera. And so I think the like goopy frozen yogurt maybe wasn't as photogenic, and it wasn't as much of a statement. It's like a little too accessible. It's like, you're not going to put that on your social media, but you will put on your social media like a gold foil plated cronut that's the size of your face.
You're right. The modesty and sophistication that maybe a froyo could be wouldn't necessarily translate. Do you think that maybe we are, as trends are often cyclical, do you think maybe we will, because what was that, maybe 10 years ago? Do you think that there's yeah,
we are
okay.
due back.
What is your trend forecast, Sarah,
We're due back.
for this?
I think a lot of the reasons that it was popular all throughout time still exist, like this idea that it is maybe like a lighter, healthier alternative. Maybe we need like a fabulous collab. Maybe we need like Taylor Swift to like partner up with somebody, like release her favorite flavor. Like, I don't know what we need to do, but
the wheels are turning.
But that's what I think. And you know who might be the one to do it? Dannon. Maybe Dannon will be the one to bring it all back around. They come up, they do a pop-up.
Okay.
And
yes.
Okay. And they have 4 flavors. One is Taylor Swift. One is Sabrina Carpenter. One is Olivia Rodrigo. One is Charlie XCX.
All the girlies are there.
Yeah.
This is
we
amazing.
Gotta bring marketing back to yogurt, you guys. Like, this is what always worked for us in the past, and we gotta come back to that.
Dannon would be a fabulous kind of like origin OG comeback story.
And Gen Z love to revitalize a brand that people forgot about. Gen Z loves to do that, I feel like. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like
Sarah, you are very much onto something.
I think so too.
What did we come up with? So we're reaching out, and now since it's happened here, we're in this together.
Do you remember millions of milkshakes in LA in the 2000s? That was like, they would always have celebrities come in and make a milkshake, and it would be like these crazy paparazzi videos. Like,
oh
it was
my
a
God.
phenomenon.
Well, now Erewhon does that with like Hailey Bieber and smoothies.
Hello.
So this is, look, you're on to something.
Because I don't want Erewhon to be the one to bring it back, because it's not accessible, okay? We don't all have Erewhon.
Right.
We all have Dannon.
No, we're bringing affordability back. We're bringing accessibility back. We're bringing Froyo back.
Absolutely.
Oh my God. I cannot wait. This is going to be huge. Well, with such a roller coaster of popularity, you can bet frozen yogurt has shown up in pop culture. In the season 5 Seinfeld episode, The Non-Fat Yogurt in 1993, Jerry, Elaine, George, and Kramer are obsessed with a non-fat frozen yogurt shop until they realize it's not actually fat-free. The show The Good Place comedically fills in its afterlife with faux fro-yo shops to satirize human dissatisfaction. In 2012, in season 1's episode of Veep titled Frozen Yogurt, Selena Meyer visits a local fro-yo shop with a self-named flavor, only to wind up with plain vanilla. In September 2013, competitive eater Matt Stoney made the Major League Eating record for polishing off Yogurtland frozen yogurt in 6 minutes, set at the Phantom Gourmet Food Festival. Sarah, can you guess how much he ate in that 6 minutes? And they did it by weight.
Like two pounds. Like, oh my God. 2 pounds?
Okay. By Price is Right rules again, you'd win, but it was, hold on, it was actually 10.5 pounds. In 2014, the movie Still Alice is a touching film about early onset Alzheimer's where Julianne Moore's character regularly visits the Broadway Pinkberry in New York City, fondly ordering original tart with blueberry and coconut. Then there's the song Froyo YOLO, Dove Cameron's 2015 Disney Channel era song with the super cringe chorus. And National Frozen Yogurt Day is February 6th.
That's wrong.
Sarah,
that's wrong.
Should it be on your birthday?
No, but February, it has to be in the summer. What are we doing in February? We're all going to eat frozen yogurt? No, that's disrespectful.
I mean, I don't know. Okay. Well, you can maybe petition it, or, you know, I think the secret to actually creating your own national holiday is registering with $10,000. And that's kind of all it takes.
Oh,
so if you have a casual 10 grand around,
I'd rather spend that $10,000 on my Pinkberry fund throughout the years, but I appreciate it. Okay, February 6th. Okay, I'll mark it in my calendar.
Yeah, mark the cow. But I mean, chances are you've definitely celebrated it at some point, just unknowingly. So it's okay. Are there any other pop cultural references that you can think of, or final words that you have about your favorite food?
For me, pop culture reference is like the OC. Like it's really Laguna Beach and the Hills. It's really more of the reality TV side of it. And it's like them just sitting, like stirring their little cups, like, and it felt like a trending thing to do, and you could see it. And again, before social media was what it was, like you saw trending things because it was like, oh, they went and did that on the Kardashians. They did that on the Hills. This is this thing I keep seeing in magazines. Like people are getting photographed, like going to these places. So then when it opened up for me, I was like, we got to go. Like this is what all the cool kids are doing. So I feel like the Hills for me is like the cultural like touchstone. And they just taught me an appreciation.
Yeah, it worked, and it gave you your favorite food. So we can't be mad at that. Yeah, beautiful origin story. Well, Sarah, thank you so much for sharing your love of frozen yogurt and helping me to tell its story.
Yes, thanks for having me on the pod. I appreciate this.
Thanks for watching. You can find links and more info in the description below. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. See you next time.